it go.
Just want to start today with a trigger warning disclaimer. This podcast contains descriptions of death and drowning. Hi, I'm Katie Carpenter.
I'm Terry Kovanitz.
We apologize for any and all mistakes today as we begin this episode of Titanic Transcripts.
All right, we're back for part 2 of Boxhall. Did you know you were in the vicinity of icebergs that night?
No, I did not know we were in the vicinity of icebergs.
Did not the second or first officer appraise you of the fact that they had information that you were in the vicinity of icebergs?
I knew we had information. They did not apprise me that evening of it.
When did they apprise you?
As a matter of fact, they did not mention it to me.
Had it never been mentioned to you?
Oh yes, the captain mentioned it.
The captain mentioned it to you?
Yes.
When?
I do not know whether it was the day before or 2 days before. He gave me some positions of icebergs, which I put on the chart.
Which you put on the chart?
On his chart.
Did the captain tell you that the Californian had wired the Titanic that they were in the vicinity of icebergs?
No. The captain gave me some wireless messages from Southampton, I think, that we had before we had sailed, and asked me to put these positions on the chart.
Did you know whether a wireless had been received from the America that the Titanic was in the vicinity of icebergs?
No, I could not say.
Do you want us to understand that you had no knowledge of the proximity of this ship to icebergs immediately
I had no knowledge.
One moment. Immediately preceding the collision or during the hours of your watch from 8 o'clock until the collision occurred?
I did not realize the ship was so near the ice field.
You knew you were in the vicinity of the Grand Banks.
I knew we were in the vicinity of the Grand Banks, yes.
What was the weather at that time?
It was very fine and clear.
Cold?
Yes, very cold.
Unusually cold?
No, not for that time of the year.
Did you realize that you were out of the particular influence of the Gulf Stream?
No, sir.
Oh, did you know that the water was taken from the sea frequently that night?
I knew the water and the temperature of the air was taken every 2 hours after the ship left port.
Was the temperature of the water taken at any time to your knowledge?
Every 2 hours after the ship left the port. I do not know what it was.
No, I do not think you understand me. You say that water was taken from the sea and the temperature of the air was taken every 2 hours after you left port.
Yes.
I asked you whether you know the temperature of the water taken from the sea every 2 hours was
yes,
tested.
Sir.
You do know it?
Yes.
How do you know it?
Because the sailormen and the quartermaster took this temperature, and I would see them doing it sometimes.
Was it reported anywhere?
Yes, it was reported. It was reported to the junior officer.
To the junior officer?
Yes.
And what was his name?
Mr. Moody.
Did he survive the wreck?
No, sir.
Was it reported to any other officer?
No, but their book was always there for him to see.
Did the log contain any reference to these charts, or these tests?
Yes, sir.
How do you know?
Because it was the junior officer's duty to see that the log did contain it.
That was his duty?
Yes.
And you think that was done because that was his duty?
Yes, sir.
Did you yourself take the temperatures of the water?
No, sir.
At any time during that voyage?
No, sir.
Do you know whether that water Sunday night was colder than it was Monday?
No, I did not know.
I mean preceding.
No.
Wednesday night?
No.
Do you of your own knowledge know the temperature of that water?
No, I do not.
Were you in the water?
No, sir.
After the collision?
No, sir.
At no time?
At no time at all.
You do not know of your knowledge how cold it was?
No, sir, I do not.
But you are willing to say it was a very cold night?
Oh, yes, it was very cold.
Do you know Mr. Bride, the wireless operator of the Titanic?
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether his feet were frozen after the accident occurred and before he reached the Carpathia?
I knew his feet were bad, but I did not know what was the matter with them. I did not know whether they were frozen.
You do not know whether they were frozen or not?
I could not say.
Did anyone die aboard the boat you were on between the scene of the sinking, the place of the sinking of the Titanic, and the Carpathia?
No, sir.
Do you know of others dying in these lifeboats?
I do not know of any dying in the lifeboats.
Do you know whether Mr. Phillips died in a lifeboat?
Only what I've heard, that Mr. Phillips died after he was pulled on the Well, whether he was pulled on or whether he scrambled on the upturned collapsible boat, I could not say. It's only hearsay.
He died?
Yes, sir, he died.
He was the wireless operator who was the chief of Mr. Bride?
Yes, sir.
But so far as you know, of your own knowledge, you are unable to say what the temperature test of this water in the vicinity of the Grand Banks where this accident occurred would show?
I am unable to say what it was.
Were there any additional officers or members of the crew stationed in the bows or on the decks Sunday night after you went on watch?
I do not know about any additional members.
The assignments were the permanent assignments, and so far as you know, that is all?
Just the usual staff. I knew they would be, but whether there were any additional men there, I could not say.
Did you see the captain frequently Sunday night?
I saw him frequently during the watch, sir.
During the watch?
Yes, sir.
From 8 o'clock on?
Up to the time of the accident.
Up to the time the Titanic sank?
Yes, sir.
How frequently?
On and off most of the watch.
Where was he when you saw him at these times?
Sometimes on the outer bridge, I would go out and report. I was working observations out, if you understand, most of that watch working out different calculations and reporting to him. And that is how it was that I came into contact with him so much.
Where was he at the times when you saw him?
Sometimes in his chart room, and sometimes on the bridge, and sometimes he would come to the wheelhouse, inside of the wheelhouse.
How do you know he would go to the wheelhouse?
I would see him pass through.
You would see him pass through?
Yes.
Would you see him frequently in the wheelhouse?
Frequently, sir.
Was the captain on deck or on the bridge or in the wheelhouse when you assumed your watch at 8 o'clock?
I could not say where he was just then. I do not remember seeing him at 8 o'clock.
How soon after you took your watch did you see him?
As near as I can tell, I saw him about 9 o'clock.
About 9 o'clock?
Yes.
For the first time?
Yes, I did not say for the first time.
As nearly as you can recollect?
No, but a particular incident recalls to me that I did see him about 9 o'clock.
When you say you saw him at 9 o'clock, do you mean just before 9 or just after 9?
You are trying to drive me down to the minute, and I cannot state.
I just want to get it as accurately as you can give it. Would you think it was before or after?
I could not say.
About 9 o'clock?
About 9 o'clock, sir.
Was there anyone with him when you saw him at that time?
That is another thing that is hard to say. I do not remember whether I saw him on the bridge or in the wheelhouse when I reported some positions that I had worked out.
Did you see Mr. Ismay?
No, sir.
With the captain?
No, sir.
On the bridge, in the wheelhouse, or on the deck that night?
No, sir.
Well, any time after you took your watch?
No, sir. Not until after the accident.
Not until after the accident?
No, sir.
Did you talk with the captain Sunday night?
Yes, sir.
How frequently?
I could not say how frequently.
Do you know what time he dined that night?
No, sir.
Or with whom he dined?
No, sir.
Or where he dined?
No, sir.
But you do know that about 9 o'clock you saw him on the deck, on the bridge, and in the wheelhouse at various times. Would you say all of the time in one of those 3 places after that?
I do not know that the captain was anywhere away from the bridge the whole watch. I mean to say from the bridge, taking the whole bridge together, all the chart rooms and the open bridge. They are all practically on one square, and I do not think the captain was away from that altogether.
When did you last see the captain?
When he told me to go away in the boat.
How long was that after the collision?
I do not know what time I left the ship. I have been trying to find the time or calculate, but I just cannot think what time it was.
Where were you when the collision took place?
I was just approaching the bridge.
On the port or the starboard side?
Starboard side.
Did the collision occur on the port or the starboard side?
On the starboard side, sir.
And you were on deck at that time?
On the deck, sir.
Approaching the bridge?
Just approaching the bridge.
Could you see what had occurred?
No, sir. I could not see what had occurred.
Do you know what had occurred?
No, not at all. I heard the 6th officer, Mr. Moody, say what it was.
What did he say that it was?
He said that we had struck an iceberg.
Was there any evidence of ice on any of the decks, to your knowledge, after that collision?
Just a little on the lower deck. On the open deck, I saw just a little, not much.
Do you know whether anyone was injured by that impact?
No, I do not know. I never heard.
Did you continue to go toward the bridge after the impact?
Yes, sir.
And how far did you go?
At the time of the impact, I was just coming along the deck and almost abreast of the captain's quarters, and I heard the report of 3 bells.
What kind of a report? Describe it.
The lookout's report.
What was said?
3 bells were struck.
3 bells?
That signifies that something has been seen ahead. Almost at the same time, I heard the first officer give his order, "Hard a starboard," and the engine telegraph rang.
And what did that order mean?
Ordering the ship's head to port.
Did you see this iceberg at the time?
No, not at the time.
Did it extend above the deck that you were on?
Oh, no, sir. It did not extend there.
A little lower?
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether it struck the bow squarely?
It seemed to me to strike the bluff of the bow.
Describe that.
It is in the forward part of the ship, but almost on the side.
On which side?
It's just where the ship begins to widen out on the starboard side.
How far would that be from the front of the ship?
I do not know.
About how far?
I could not say in feet.
How far would it be from the eyes?
I do not know. I could not say.
You could not describe that.
No. You could measure it on the plans, though.
About how far?
I could not say how many feet. I have no idea the number of feet.
But it was not a square blow on the bow of the ship?
No, sir.
In ordinary parlance, would it be a glancing blow?
A glancing blow.
Was the blow felt immediately?
A slight impact.
How slight?
It did not seem to me to be very serious. I did not take it seriously.
Slight enough to stop you in your walk to the bridge?
Oh, no, no, no.
Heavy enough to stop you, I mean?
No, sir.
So slight that you did not regard it as serious?
I did not think it was serious.
Did you proceed to the bridge?
Yes, sir.
Whom did you find there?
I found the 6th officer and the 1st officer and captain.
The 6th officer, the 1st officer, and the captain?
Yes, sir.
All on the bridge together?
Yes, sir.
What, if anything, was said by the captain?
Oh, yes, sir. The captain said, "What have we struck?" Mr. Murdoch, the 1st officer, said, we have struck an iceberg."
Then what was said?
He followed on to say, Mr. Murdoch followed on to say, "I put her hard a starboard and run the engines full astern, but it was too close and she hit it."
That was before she struck?
No, after.
That was after she struck?
Yes.
He said that he put her hard a starboard.
Yes, sir.
But it was too late?
Yes, sir.
And he hit it?
Yes, sir.
And what did the captain say?
Mr. Murdoch also said, "I intend to port around it."
I intended to port around it?
But she hit before I could do any more.
Did he say anything more?
"The watertight doors are closed, sir."
And what did the captain say?
Well, Mr. Murdoch continued to say, "The watertight doors are closed, sir."
Mr. Murdoch continued to say, "Are they closed?"
"No, they are closed."
The watertight doors are closed.
Are closed.
Do you understand by that he has applied the...
I saw him close them.
He had applied the electricity?
Yes, sir.
And by that he had closed the watertight compartments?
Yes, sir. And the captain asked him if he had rung the warning bell.
And what did he say?
He said, "Yes, sir."
What is the warning bell?
It is a small electric bell which rings at every watertight door.
And he said that had been done?
Yes, sir.
What else did he say?
We all walked out to the corner of the bridge then to look at the iceberg.
The captain?
The captain, 1st officer, and myself.
Did you see it?
I was not very sure of seeing it. It seemed to me to just be a small black mass, not rising very high out of the water, just a little on the starboard quarter.
How far out of the water should you judge?
I could not judge the size of it, but it seemed to me to be very, very low lying.
Did it extend up to B deck?
Oh, no. The ship was past it then. It looked to me to be very, very low in the water.
Give us an idea. Do not leave it there. How far do you think it was above the water?
That is hard to say. In my own opinion, I do not think the thing extended above the ship's rail.
Above the ship's rail?
No.
And how far was the rail above the water's edge?
Probably about 30 feet.
About 30 feet?
No, hardly 30 feet.
The distance from the water's edge to the boat deck was how far?
I could get that measured from the plan.
About 70 feet, was it not?
From the boat deck, it was about 70 feet to the water's edge. The boat deck is one deck above A. This rail, is on the C deck.
You say this looked like a black object?
Yes.
Were the stars shining that night?
The stars were shining.
And the moon?
No moon.
No moon?
No.
Was it clear?
Clear.
And yet you wish to be understood as saying that standing in the bow of the ship as far forward as you could get and looking over directly at the obstacle, you were unable to determine exactly what it was?
I was not standing on the bow of the ship, sir. I was standing on the bridge.
On the bridge?
Yes.
But you could see this object, could you?
I am not sure of seeing it, that is what I say. I would not swear to seeing it, but I fancied seeing this long-lying growler.
And that it looked dark?
It looked to me as if it were very, very low.
And dark?
Yes.
Did the captain seem to know what you had struck?
No.
Did Mr. Murdoch?
Mr. Murdoch saw it when we struck it.
Did he say what it was?
Yes, sir.
What did he say it was?
He said it was an iceberg.
After these signals were turned in, what was done?
I do not know what was done because I left the bridge then.
And where did you go?
I went right down below in the lowest steerage as far as I could possibly get without going into the cargo portion of the ship, and I inspected all the decks as I came up in the vicinity of where I thought she had struck.
And what did you find?
I found no damage. I found no indications to show that the ship had damaged herself.
On the inside?
On the inside.
Did you say you went to steerage?
I went down to steerage.
But found no evidence of injury there?
No, sir.
And then where did you go?
Then I went on the bridge and reported to the captain that I could not see any damage.
One moment. Did you look farther beyond the steerage?
I looked in all the decks. I worked my way up to the top deck.
Looking at all of them in this forward part?
In the forward part of the ship. That is, abreast of number 2 and number 3 hatches.
And then what did you do?
I came right up to the bridge and reported that I could find no damage.
And what did the captain say?
He said, go down and find the carpenter and get him to sound the ship.
Did you do so?
I was proceeding down, but I met the carpenter.
And what did you say to him?
I said, the captain wants you to sound the ship. And he said, the ship is making water. And he went on the bridge to the captain, and I thought I would go down forward again and investigate. And then I met a mail clerk, a man named Smith, and he asked where the captain was. I said, he's on the bridge. And he said, the mail hold is full, or filling rapidly. I said, will you go and report it to the captain, and I will go down and see. And I proceeded right down to the mailroom.
And what did you find there?
I went down as far as the sorting room deck and found mail clerks down there were working.
Doing what?
Taking letters out of the racks, they seemed to me to be doing.
Taking letters out of the racks and putting them into pouches?
I could not see what they were putting them in.
You could not see what disposition they were making of them?
I looked through an open door and saw these men working at the racks. Directly beneath me was the mail hold, and the water seemed to be then within 2 feet of the deck we were standing on.
And what did you do in that situation?
And bags of mail were floating about. I went right onto the bridge again and reported to the captain what I had seen.
What did he say?
He said, all right, and then the order came out for the boats.
You mean the order was given to man or lower the lifeboats?
To clear the lifeboats.
Do you know anything about what the carpenter did after you left him?
No, sir. I never saw him anymore.
Do you know anything about the wireless?
No, sir.
Or what the captain or any other officer did regarding it?
No, sir.
When the order was given to clear the lifeboats, what did you do?
I went around the decks and was clearing the lifeboats, helping take the covers off.
Covers off?
The covers off the boats and clearing them generally.
Were they all covered?
Yes, sir, except the sea boats, and assisting generally around the decks. Then I went into the chart room and worked out the ship's position. I was clearing boats for a little while and then went in and worked the position out.
Did you report her position?
I submitted her position to the captain.
And what did he say?
He said, take it to the Marconi room.
And did you do so?
Yes, sir.
Did you find the operator in charge?
I found the 2 operators there.
Who?
Phillips and Bride.
And what did you do with your information?
There was too much noise of the steam escaping, so I wrote the position down for them and left it.
You simply wrote the position down?
Yes.
And handed it to the operator?
Left it on his table there. He saw it. He made a call, and he was listening, and I did not interrupt him.
Did you remain to see what disposition was made of it?
No.
Did you keep a copy of that, or do you know exactly what that showed?
That position?
Yes.
Yes, I have the position.
Have you a memorandum of it?
No, I have it in my head.
Give it to the reporter.
41, 46, 50, 14.
Was that the last time the ship's position was taken?
That is the position I worked out.
Was that the last time it was taken so far as you know?
Yes, that was the position at the time she struck.
Was that where she sank, do you know?
I do not know. She would just drift a little way further on, probably half a mile or so.
What did you do after you left the operator's room?
I went around the decks assisting to clear the decks and send distress signals off.
What do you mean by clearing the decks?
Or clearing the boats, I should say.
At that time, were passengers on these decks?
Yes.
Men and women?
Men and women, yes, coming up.
And what were they doing?
I was too busy to take notice, as a matter of fact.
Did they have life preservers on, or life belts?
Yes, I think all of them had life preservers that I saw.
Would you be willing to say that so far as your observation went,
They all had them, I should say, as far as my observation went.
men and women,
Yes, sir.
children,
I was around the bridge most of the time.
I want to get your best information about it.
I was around the bridge most of the time, sending off distress signals and endeavoring to signal a ship that was ahead of us.
Taking the signals from the captain?
No, sir.
Carrying themselves to the operator?
No, distress signals, rockets.
On the ship?
Yes, sir.
Did you return again to the wireless room?
No.
You say these passengers were gathered about on all decks.
I did not leave the boat deck after that.
You remained on the upper deck,
On the upper deck,
where the lifeboats were.
where these lifeboats were.
And did you take part in clearing,
Just kind of generally assisting.
assisting in lowering these lifeboats?
Not in lowering them, sir.
In manning them?
Yes, sir. In manning them. But my attention until the time I left the ship was mostly taken up with firing off distress rockets and trying to signal a steamer that was almost ahead of us.
Oh, how far ahead of you?
It's hard to say. I saw his masthead lights and I saw his side light.
In what direction?
Almost ahead of us.
On the same course, apparently?
Oh, no.
On the same general course?
By the way she was heading, she seemed to be meeting us.
Coming toward you?
Coming toward us.
Do you know anything about what boat that was?
No, sir.
Have you had any information since about it?
None whatever.
You say you fired these rockets and otherwise attempted to signal her.
Yes, sir. She got close enough, as I thought, to read our electric Morse signal, and I signaled to her. I told her to come at once. We were sinking, and the captain was standing...
This was the signal?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I told the captain about this ship, and he was with me most of the time when we were signaling.
Did he also see it?
Yes, sir.
Did he tell you to do anything else to arrest its attention?
I went over and started the Morse signal. He said, tell them to come at once. We are sinking.
You were sinking already, you say?
Yes, sir.
Come at once, we are sinking?
Yes.
What would be that signal?
It was sent in the Morse key, the Morse code.
And you did that?
Yes, sir.
And did you get any reply?
I cannot say I saw any reply. Some people say she replied to our rockets and our signals, but I did not see them.
Was any attempt made to get in wireless communication after you saw this boat? What you took to be a boat?
I do not know what was transpiring in the wireless room.
These signals you utilized were Morse signals?
Yes.
Are they recognized as standard for the sea?
Oh, yes.
Are they a part of the British regulations?
Yes, sir.
Did you see any signals from the ship at all?
No, I cannot say that I saw any signals except her ordinary steaming light. Some people say they saw signals, but I could not.
In referring to some people, whom do you mean?
People who are around the bridge.
Passengers?
No, I should not say passengers.
Officers?
I think it was stewards.
Stewards? The crew?
And people waiting in the boats or something.
They saw some of these signals.
Some had said they saw her signals.
From what you saw of that vessel, how far would you think she was from the Titanic?
I should say approximately that the ship would be about 5 miles.
What lights did you see?
2 masthead lights and the red light.
Were the 2 masthead lights the first lights that you could see?
The first lights.
And what other light?
And then as she got closer, she showed her side light, her red light.
So you were quite sure she was coming in your direction?
Quite sure.
Now, how long was this before the boat sunk?
It's hard to tell. I have no idea of the time then. I do not know what time it was then.
Can you recall about how long it was after the collision?
No.
Was this information communicated to the wireless operators?
What communication, sir?
Was this information communicated to the wireless operators?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you know that they had sent out a distress signal?
Oh, yes.
And you would expect that this boat would pick it up if they had a wireless on it?
Yeah, if she had a wireless installation.
You busied yourself with the Morse signals?
Yes, sir.
Did they continue up to the time you assisted in clearing the lifeboats?
I would signal with the Morse and then go ahead and send off a rocket and then go back and have a look at the ship until I was finally sent away.
Suppose you had a searchlight on the bow of that ship and could have thrown it strongly against this object that you seemed to see. Do you think that would have appraised the vessel of its proximity to you and of your distress?
Well, no doubt a searchlight might have called attention to it then.
This ship was not equipped with a searchlight.
The Titanic was not, no.
Have you ever been employed on a ship that was so equipped?
Not in the merchant service.
Not in the merchant service?
No, sir.
Any other service? In
Yes.
the naval service?
In the naval service, yes.
Is that a part of the equipment of the British Naval Service?
Yes, all the ships that I have seen have a searchlight.
But not in the merchant service?
No, not in the merchant service.
In order that the record may be complete, will you kindly explain a little more in detail how the Morse signal is given?
By means of a telegraphic key and a Morse lamp. It's a series of dots and dashes.
Which are reflected?
No, there's no reflection at all. It is just simply showing the light in and out, an electric light.
How are the rockets exploded?
Their rockets are exploded by a firing lanyard.
They shower?
They go right up into the air and they throw stars.
How strong rockets do they have on these boats? What is their charge, do you know?
I do not know, sir. The Board of Trade Regulations govern that.
Did they work satisfactorily?
Oh, yes.
So that as far as your manipulation of these signals and rockets was concerned,
they were quite satisfactory.
The failure to arouse the attention of this ship was not due to any impaired or partial success of these signals?
No, sir, not at all.
And you say you continued to fire the rockets and give the signals?
Yes, sir.
And then returned to the side of the ship?
Yes, sir.
Whew. All right, we're going to stop right here. What the heck, right? Oh my gosh.
This is crazy.
Well, I did not expect any of this. So.
Is it the Franklin, do you think? The Frankfurt?
Oh my gosh. Well, whoever it is, what?
How is this the first we're hearing of it?
Right. Why is no one there saving them?
And then he's saying some people thought they saw a response, but I wonder, did they think they saw a response, but it was just Boxhall? Like, if they had already been in the boats and lowered.
Was the Morse bouncing off of an iceberg? And that's what they thought was the light?
Oh, yeah, maybe. This is crazy.
But he saw red lights, and this is, and even you can see Senator Smith is still like, wait, what? Yeah. How is this information going on right now?
And then it is, I'm assuming all ships now must have searchlights.
And yeah. Whoa, yeah, this was mind-blowing. And I'm a little shocked that he just left the message from the captain on the table in the telegraph room and just slipped away.
Yeah, he did say they saw it.
This right here.
He did say they saw it.
Well, he thinks they did.
Well, I thought it sounded like they saw it and gave him a look, but that he was on a call.
Well, and he had a lot to do.
Yeah,
and stuff.
But still, I agree. Maybe wait and do a verbal communication about it or something, but
because only one of them could be on the telegraph.
Yeah, that's true, and there were two of them. Also, we find out what happened to Bride's legs. His feet froze.
Do you think?
Or most likely,
probably when he was under the boat and he was in the water for so long.
Yeah, they start by asking about. Oh my god, mentioning his feet.
Yeah, this is the first they've mentioned it, except thanks for bringing your feet.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Okay.
Your feet.
And those mailmen?
Let's
get these letters mailed, put up in these bags. Yeah.
Forget that.
These guys are so dedicated till the paycheck ends. Did it end when the water hit their station? Or
when do you get out? Well, it sounds like none of them left until the captain
said, you may depart.
Did he have to go around? And no wonder he goes down with the ship. And then also, a lot of these interviews are getting like a little Dr. Seussy to me. Like, I could not say, sir. That I could not say. No, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like, they just keep repeating, at the bow, at the bow.
Oh, that's so funny.
Keep going.
Now I'm going to think of that every time. But I like how Boxhall is like, he just can't get why the senator doesn't understand his first answer.
Yeah.
It's like, that's obviously what I just said.
It's so, like, they're investigating so many facets, I guess, but as if I were on the ship too, I would be so frustrated by this. We hit an iceberg, we sank.
Wait, you hit one iceberg.
Yeah, and how big was it? And who hit it?
And it was from which deck?
Did anyone manufacture the iceberg? Did they tell you about it? Did you get the call from the president, though? It's so much. I would just be so frustrated.
Yeah. And also, and then this apparently has no bearing after we hear all this other stuff, but what incident happened at 9 o'clock.
I know. I can't believe he didn't go back for that.
I know the captain was there. There was
a particular incident at 9 o'clock, so I recall.
And
he just wants to pin down the exact minute.
So I knew the captain was there at 9 o'clock because of the incident.
Was it 9:01?
And then
or 8:59?
That's what we're going to focus on.
Yeah, I was waiting for him.
What
to get
about
back
the
to
incident?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was
There's
so...
a mystery there. What? Well, we do have one more episode of Boxhall, so maybe it'll come out.
Good thing, because there's a lot that needs cleared up right now. Wow. Oof. All right, well, let's tune in as soon as we can for the next exciting segment.
Just a note from the readers, we want to thank you guys for listening, and we really value your feedback, so please let us know what you're thinking, either in the comments or at titanictranscripts@gmail.com.